Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. A ride.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. So Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, streaming live. At 1 p.m. Eastern, it's Cowboys, Commanders. Then at 4:30, you've got Lions, Vikings. Midwest football, playoff stakes, and probably some snow. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix this Christmas Day.
Now, talking the news with Noam on 77 WABC.
Good morning. It is not Noam Laden. It is Liz Rattoballi here on the 5 o'clock news hour this Friday, December 19th. Before we get into your top stories of the day, of course, it's your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Today, rain with a high of 55 degrees. What is it? Summer tonight and overnight. Skies to clear, low of 31. Tomorrow, sunny once again with a high of 40. Sunday, mostly sunny again, another high of 47. If you're heading out the door right now over in New Brunswick, New Jersey, 56 and showers. Same goes out on Long Island, Oyster Bay. It is 54 and raining. 54 and raining outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The Brown shooter is also the MIT shooter, according to cops, and he has been found dead by his own hand. One of the victims of a deadly plane crash leaves a haunting final message. Today is the deadline for the DOJ to drop the Epstein files. As of right now, no dice. An incoming member of the mayor-elect Mamdani's team has already resigned. And the family of a teen who died by suicide in Scotland is suing Meta. So starting off with our top story here, the suspected Brown University shooter has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire.
Tonight, our Providence neighbors can finally breathe a little easier.
He was a Brown student. He was a Portuguese national. And his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight.
That's Providence Police Chief Oscar Perez. Attorney General of Rhode Island, Peter Nerona, says he hopes that those affected can breathe a bit easier.
I hope that by bringing this person to justice, that we can at least give them the beginnings of some measure of closure.
So the suspect was a 48-year-old man who was a Portuguese national and a student at Brown. The man's last known address was in Miami. Officials say the suspect in that shooting was a former student at the school.
He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Masters of Science PhD program in physics.
University President Christina Paxson said at a news conference that Claudio Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from 2000 to 2001.
Claudia Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. I think it's safe to assume that this man, when he was a student, spent a great deal of time in that building for classes and other activities.
He withdrew from the school in 2003 after a leave of absence. Cops said they traced the suspect to a rental car location in Massachusetts and then to a storage facility in New Hampshire where he was found dead, along with a satchel seen on video footage and 2 firearms. Officials confirming that the Brown University suspect also killed an MIT professor. U.S. Attorney Leah Foley spoke at a news conference last night.
On December 15th, he murdered MIT professor Nuno Luriero at Luriero's home in Brookline, Massachusetts. He attended the same academic program as the MIT professor Nuno Luriero in Portugal between 1995 and 2000. There is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment, and then later that evening he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit. He was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting. He was found in there with his satchel. There was nothing else found in there that I am aware of, but they're still in the process of searching that facility right now.
So at that Brown University shooting, 2 people were killed, 9 others were injured. NASCAR driver Greg Biffle has died in a plane crash at a North Carolina airport. The North Carolina State Highway Patrol says he was among the 7 people killed when his private jet burst into flames when landing at Statesville Regional Airport around 50 miles north of Charlotte. His family was also among the 7 people killed. He was a Hall of Fame nominee for the Stock Car Series, and he drove for 18 years at the top of the sport. He was also picked by NASCAR as one of its top 75 drivers in history. Here's the Statesville Regional Airport Director, John Ferguson.
Approximately 10:15 a.m., we got a report of a corporate jet that crashed off the end of the runway on the east end. When actually I came out, it was already fully involved. We've had multiple agencies, as you said, come. The FAA arrived about 12 o'clock today. They're taking over the scene. They're taking over the investigation.
The New York Post reports the wife of Greg Biffle, Christina, she sent an eerie text to her mother right before that fatal plane crash took the lives of the couple and their 2 children. She texted her mom, Kathy, we're in trouble, just before the crash. Greg, Christina, 14-year-old daughter Emma, and their 5-year-old son Ryder were all killed in the crash, among 3 others. All of the victims, they were heading to Florida for a birthday trip. Greg won the NASCAR Cup Series 19 times, and he was also a one-time Busch Series champion as well. One day before the deadline for the Justice Department to release its files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee yesterday publicly disclosed another batch of photos provided by the late financier's estate in response to different congressional subpoenas. Garcia, the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, says the Trump administration has been standing in the way of transparency.
They've been covering up the files, and now that they're being forced to put everything out, I am hopeful.
These photos were basically in the possession of the Epstein estate. And so that includes pictures that maybe were sent to Epstein. Perhaps he took himself. We know there's some that he took himself that others took, but they were in his possession.
House Republicans Derek Van Orden and Anna Paulina Luna say Democrats are unfairly using these files to attack President Trump.
The Democrat Party is using the abuse of these women for political advantage. And that's horrible.
I feel like in a way that it was used as a political smear campaign.
So in the latest batch of photos released, it includes about 70 photos, some heavily redacted photos of women's passports, images of famous men who associated with Epstein, and concerning text messages about recruiting women for Jeffrey Epstein. That's according to Representative Robert Garcia, Democrat from California. He is also the ranking Democrat on the committee, which released those images without any context. The photos released are from a larger batch of more than 95,000 turned over by the Epstein estate. The photos were provided to Congress without any context, timing, or locations. Those images are therefore presented as received, according to Democrats. President Trump, for his part, previously said the photos from this estate are really no big deal.
There are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him, so that's no big deal. I know nothing about it. I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody.
Yeah, he really does have photos with everybody, including Bill Gates posing with a woman who her face was redacted, and the prominent linguist and philosopher Noam Chomsky sitting on a plane with Epstein. It also has been previously reported that Gates and Chomsky knew Epstein. Gates previously said that he made a, quote, huge mistake in meeting with Epstein. Other images show Woody Allen, the director, Steve Bannon, Trump's former advisor, and David Brooks, the author and New York Times opinion columnist, among others. Back in November last month, Brooks wrote a column headlined, "The Epstein Story, Count Me Out." convenient take for Brooks. This also as Ghislaine Maxwell is asking a New York City federal court to reopen her sex trafficking conviction on the eve of those expected release of the files. Maxwell filed her writ of habeas corpus with the Southern District of New York this week, claiming juror misconduct, collusion, and other violations. She says new information from these ongoing suits has been brought to light. Not clear how or if it could impact this deadline. Now on to story number 4. Just one day after Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani announced Catherine Alamonte da Costa as the director of appointments in his new administration, she resigned. This after the ADL of New York and New Jersey posted photos of what they said to be old social media photos from da Costa. As director of appointments, da Costa would have been tasked with recruiting people into this incoming administration. Here's what da Costa said before regarding her stepping down before she even really starts. It's a statement, so I'll just read off here. I spoke with the mayor-elect this afternoon, apologized, and expressed my deep regret for my past statements. These statements are not indicative of who I am. As the mother of Jewish children, I feel a profound sense of sadness and remorse at the harm these words have caused. As this has become a distraction from the work at hand, I've offered my resignation. And then Mayor-elect Mamdani accepted her resignation. He announced another hire as well in his administration yesterday. Sharif Suleiman will serve as the next director of the Office of Management and Budget, in charge of balancing the books for Mamdani's agenda. Suleiman held senior roles over at City Hall over the past 3 administrations, including serving as the commissioner of the Department of Finance for former Mayor Bill de Blasio. Mamdani will be sworn in as the city's next mayor on New Year's Day. Finally, our top 5 headline here. The family of a teenage boy who took his own life after being blackmailed on Instagram. They're suing the platform's owner, Meta. Murray Dowie from Dunblane in Scotland. He was just 16 years old when he became the victim of an online sextortion scheme in December of 2023. His parents, Mark and Ross, have now launched legal action against Meta in a U.S. court alongside another family and claims the tech giant has failed to protect kids on their platform. Lawyers are saying the company knew of different safety features that would prevent sextortion, but they prioritize profit. Dowie told Sky News that there's a, quote, growing army of parents who have suffered this unimaginable pain due to social media platforms. She added, we lost the most precious thing. We've got nothing left to lose. And we see this more and more as these lawsuits continue to pop up against the tech companies, even if they pass laws here in the U.S. The EU, a bit more strict when it comes to those tech regulations. Meta, which also owns Facebook, has branded sextortion as a horrific crime and said it supports law enforcement to prosecute the criminals behind it. It's believed that Murray, the child who was the victim in this, he was exploited by criminals in West Africa who posed as a young girl. The teen was then tricked into sending intimate photos of himself. He was told that they would be exposed to his family if he did not pay them. The lawsuit has been filed by the Social Media Victims Law Center. The Dowies have been named alongside Tricia Majolowski from Pennsylvania, whose son Levi took his own life at the age of 13. And if you know someone who is struggling with their mental health, as always, point them to a resource. It can be very hard accepting help, especially if you feel there's no one really equipped to help you. But there are so many resources. A really important one, 988, that's the National Mental Health Hotline. If you're struggling with anything, even by proxy, you can call, get some guidance, point someone to that line. Remember it well, that's 988.
77 WABC News, reporting national news.
The owner of TikTok has signed a deal that would create an American version of the popular social media app. The video sharing platform has been under pressure by Congress to create a U.S. version because it is currently owned by Chinese company ByteDance, which they say poses a national security concern. Yesterday, the CEO of TikTok announced they did strike a deal with the Trump White House to create a joint venture that will be a majority owned by American investors who will be responsible for U.S. data protection, algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurance. Former special counsel Jack Smith says he has proof President Donald Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the 2020 election. Correspondent Ryan Nobles reports Smith testified at a closed-door House Judiciary Committee hearing,
defending the federal charges he brought against President Trump in 2022, including those related to the classified documents uncovered at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate and the president's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election, both of which didn't come to trial. Smith telling the committee he and his team found proof beyond a reasonable doubt that the president had engaged in a criminal scheme. Republicans have accused Smith of a politically motivated investigation, which he has denied.
Congressman Dan Goldman, a New York Democrat, spoke with the reporters.
The special counsel said that the only reason that Donald Trump did not go to trial and was not convicted is because of the Supreme Court and because of the timing of it and him becoming president.
The U.S. government is admitting to several failures that led to a deadly mid-air collision over the Potomac River earlier this year. Scott Carr reports from Washington.
The Department of Justice makes the admission in a court filing in a civil lawsuit connected to the January 29th crash. The government admits that pilots in an Army Black Hawk helicopter failed to maintain proper and safe visual separation from a passenger jet making its final approach to Reagan National Airport. The filing also says an air traffic controller failed to follow proper procedure before the crash. The admissions are expected to make it easier for the families of those killed to seek court damages. 67 people died in the crash. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
The Trump administration is announcing new restrictions on gender-affirming care for minors.
Sex-rejecting procedures rob children of their futures. This morning I signed a declaration. Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Kennedy says procedures for gender dysphoria are harmful for minors.
The Trump administration will not stand by while ideology, misinformation, and propaganda push vulnerable young people into decisions they cannot fully understand.
Yesterday, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said under new rules being proposed, hospitals that use Medicare and Medicaid programs will be barred from performing so-called sex-rejecting procedures on children. Those procedures include puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and operations. Kennedy called the procedures chemical and surgical mutilation, adding they cause irreversible harm to kids. The ban would impact nearly every hospital in the United States. President Trump is easing marijuana restrictions. He signed an executive order switching the drug from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3, reclassifying it as less dangerous.
This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments.
Trump stressed his executive order does not legalize or decriminalize the drug.
I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. Today, I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. We have people begging for me to do this.
Trump said the reclassification would not legalize it on a federal level. Instead, it will help many Americans dealing with some extreme pain and other serious medical problems. Marijuana has been in the same category as heroin, ecstasy, and LSD. More from the White House. President Trump has signed a $901 billion defense bill. The National Defense Authorization Act was passed by the Senate this week. The mammoth defense policy bill will establish next year's defense priorities and authorize the spending levels. It greenlights a record in military spending for fiscal year of 2026, which is roughly $8 billion more than the Trump White House originally requested. Final passage came after a series of concessions and hurdles in the final days leading up to the vote. The National Guard will not be leaving the streets of D.C. following a ruling by a federal appeals court. Tammy Trujillo with the details.
A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia overruled a lower court order to end the deployment. The ruling noted that D.C. is not a state and that President Trump has unique powers to mobilize the Guard within the district. The ruling doesn't end the case, but it puts the end of the deployment on hold while legal arguments continue. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
A bill that aims to speed up infrastructure and energy products is now heading to the Senate. The House voted 221 to 196 this week to pass the SPEED Act, which is expected to bolster infrastructure projects by decreasing the amount of red tape their environmental impacts face. Bipartisan lawmakers have been working on this for years to strike a deal on this matter. This version passed with the addition of a new anti-wind amendment in order to get GOP hardliners on board. However, the new addition could make it difficult to secure the support from Democrats in the Senate, leaving the bill to face an uncertain future in that upper chamber.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
You're going to be talking the news with Liz Rattoballi on this December 19th. Good morning from the 77 WABC weather desk. Today it's going to be raining with a high of 55 degrees. Tonight and overnight, skies will clear up with a low of 31. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 40. And looking ahead to Sunday, it stays sunny, another high of 47. If you're heading out the door right now, over in New Brunswick, New Jersey, 56, and raining out on Long Island, 54 and some rain, 55 and some showers right outside our Midtown studios.
77 WABC News. Local news is our specialty.
A mother in East Orange is pleading for the public's help to find her daughter who went missing nearly a month ago.
It's really hard because I don't know where she is. And I don't know if she's hungry or if she's cold or if she's hurt.
Marilyn Crocker says her daughter, Asha, left their apartment building on Harrison Street to go to work on November 20th around 9 in the morning. She never returned home and has not contacted any family members since. A missing persons report has been filed with the East Orange Police Department, and the case was then transferred to the department's detective unit. Nearly 4 weeks later, Crocker says her family is still searching for answers.
Waking up every morning and not hearing anything is just silent. I can't believe that no one hasn't seen anything.
I mean, yeah, especially with cameras everywhere. The mom has a message for her daughter, Asha.
If I see her, I'll tell her, I love you, sweetheart. I just want her to be okay.
Crocker says her daughter's disappearance is completely out of character, and nothing like this has really ever happened before. Flyers have been posted throughout East Orange, and a bolo has been issued as well. Crocker has also started a GoFundMe page to hire a private investigator. Like I mentioned, East Orange police are investigating this case, but Crocker says communication from the department and the city has been limited. Teenage girl has plunged to her death at a private school on the Upper East Side. Lisa G. reports.
The teen was discovered unconscious and unresponsive outside the Chapin School on East 84th Street in East End around 7:30 Wednesday night. Cops responded to a 911 call and rushed her to the hospital where she died from her injuries. No criminality is involved in her death, and it's not immediately clear if she died by suicide or an accidental fall. Her death comes about a month after a 16-year-old boy jumped to his death from Regis High School, another private school on the Upper East Side. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
A former Tennessee state trooper is pleading not guilty to the murder of a woman whose remains were found on Long Island's Gilgo Beach almost 15 years ago. Andrew Dykes appeared in Nassau County Court yesterday. He's accused of killing Tanya Jackson, who was living with Dykes in Brooklyn in 1997 when she died. Newsday reports prosecutors also think Dykes killed the 2-year-old girl, the baby girl that they had together. Jackson's body was found at Gilgo Beach in 2011. The case was once believed to be connected to the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer. It is now no longer connected. That is the Gilgo Beach serial killer. That's Rex Heuermann. This is a Tennessee state trooper. Heuermann is being prosecuted for 7 murders in neighboring Suffolk County. Open enrollment is underway for the city's Birth to 2 child care initiative. Mayor Adams says it's a groundbreaking initiative that will provide more than 200 free and infant toddler seats at community-based providers across the city. Adams says those sites will provide early childhood learning for infants and toddlers ages 6 weeks to 2 years in different neighborhoods with the greatest need, making life more affordable for parents. He says the Birth to 2 child care initiative, a bit of a tongue twister there, will help them provide for their families without having to choose between child care and a paycheck. Service will begin on January 5th. In some more local headlines, pretrial evidence hearings over the case in Luigi Mangione, they're over. That's the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan over a year ago. Yesterday wrapped up 3 weeks of testimony as defense lawyers try and get key evidence tossed from the murder trial. The judge says both sides can make final arguments in writing before he'll make a decision in mid-May on what evidence, if any, should be excluded. He'll then set a trial date. The pre-trial hearings were centered around Mangione's arrest and a search of his backpack in Altoona, Pennsylvania at a McDonald's. Atlantic City Mayor Marty Small was found not guilty yesterday of physically abusing his teenage daughter. James Flippin with the details.
Jury acquitted Small on charges of endangering the welfare of a child, aggravated assault, and other charges that could have put him in prison for many years, as well as putting his political career in jeopardy. In doubt, Small faced accusations that he'd hit his teen daughter with a broom, knocking her unconscious. It's actually the 3rd time that he's faced criminal charges and has been found not guilty all 3 times. Small's wife, schools superintendent Laquetta Small in AC, also charged with abusing the teen. She'll be tried separately next month. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
The first year of congestion pricing in Manhattan is nearly in the books, and Governor Kathy Hochul is touting its success. Hochul says New Jersey, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley commuters, they have a faster ride by vehicle as traffic is down in the congestion zone and air quality is improving.
And now we're having the money to be able to fund really important projects. So our revenues are on track to bring in the $500 million that we are expecting. It's all working. Traffic is down about 11%. 25 million fewer vehicles going into that zone.
Meanwhile, New Jersey Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill is opposed to congestion pricing, calling it a tax that funds the MTA on the backs of New Jersey commuters while worsening traffic and pollution in the Garden State. More from Governor Kathy Hochul. She's putting more money into the subway system in order to maintain an elevated police presence. Hochul announced she's committing another $77 million in state money to support over 600 police officers a day in the subway and surge patrols when needed.
We had to surge police officers into the subway. We needed that visible presence, that calming presence that a man or woman in uniform brings when people see them. These funds will support over 600 officers per day and keep riders safe and surge patrols when they're most needed at the discretion of our police commissioner to help cover overtime.
Hochul says the subway system is on pace for the 2nd safest year on record.
And that's even as ridership continues to climb. Overall, crime in our transit system has dropped almost 15% since 2019.
So yes, Hochul highlighting data that shows subway crime is down and at its lowest level it's been in 16 years. She points out there has been increased patrols, protective platform barriers being installed at many stations, and also a big one, increased lighting. The Archdiocese of New York is getting new leadership after 16 years. Cardinal Timothy Dolan stepping aside due to mandatory retirement and handing it over to Illinois Bishop Ron Hicks, who introduced himself.
I'm a Cubs fan.
and I love deep dish pizza. That said, I want you to know that I am going to remain a loyal Cubs fan.
Standing side by side, outgoing Cardinal Timothy Dolan introduced Hicks from Illinois, who Pope Leo appointed to be the next leader of the second largest diocese here in America.
The last week, since I found out, I've gotten to know him, and I already love him and appreciate him and trust him. Is there sadness in my heart? Sure, because I love the Archdiocese of New York. That sadness is mitigated by the gift that this new Archbishop already is.
Hicks says he accepts his appointment with great humility, asking New Yorkers for their prayers and support.
As excited as I am to get to know the city and the Archdiocese and all who call this home, I'm also very aware that these are complex and challenging days.
Hicks was straightforward with one issue.
I'm committed to learning about the issues before our church, including the funds the Archdiocese has set aside to help resolve sexual abuse claims. As a church, we can never rest in our efforts to prevent abuse, to protect children, and to care for survivors.
Church historian Dr. Christopher Belitto says the move by Pope Leo makes sense for the Archdiocese of New York.
20 years for Pope Leo in Peru, 5 years for Bishop Hicks in El Salvador. And so obviously that's something that's going to be very important when you have a very large Latino population.
Dolan hit the mandatory retirement age of 75, handed his resignation papers back in February. Dolan had the position since 2009. The transition comes as the New York Archdiocese is in the middle of a clergy sex abuse settlement. Hicks has been a priest for 31 years, saying he's committed to learning about the issues before the Catholic Church in New York and wants to uphold hope and respect. Times Square is all ready for the new year. The 7-foot numerals depicting 2026 are on display at the crossroads of the world for the next few days. People from all over stopping by to check them out.
To think that these numbers are going to be up there with 2025 just gives you that continuity that you need in life.
They're numbers, and the 6 looks a little like a 4. They're good.
I think that could be bigger. I mean, it's cute. I love the idea of it all and everything, but bigger's always better.
We'll check back in with New Yorkers for the new year, but first up, let's check in with Justin Ellick at the Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Lizzie. Thank you very much. We start out here in Indianapolis on the hardwood. Jalen Brunson made a go-ahead three-pointer, 4.4 seconds left, and scored 25. OG Anunoby stole the ensuing inbounds pass, and the Knicks rallied for a 114-113 victory over the Pacers. Up next for them, they're right back out there tonight, getting set to welcome in the Philadelphia 76ers for a 7 p.m. tip-off. In Brooklyn, the Nets lost 106-95 to the visiting Miami Heat. Up next for the Nets, they'll host the Toronto Raptors come Sunday. Head to the ice in St. Louis, where JT Miller scored 2 minutes and 21 seconds into overtime, and the Rangers beat the Blues 2-1. Up next for the Rangers, they'll host the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow. Tonight on the ice, 7 p.m., the Islanders will welcome in the Vancouver Canucks, and at 9 later on, the Devils are out in Utah against the Mammoth. And last night, Week 16 got underway in the NFL. Your final in overtime from Seattle saw the Seahawks edge out the Rams 38-37. So Seattle moves into first place in the NFC West at 12-3, and the Rams, they drop to 11-4. That's second place in the NFC West. Early afternoon slate once again, 1 p.m. start for both the Jets and the Giants this Sunday. 3-11 Jets are 6.5-point road underdogs in New Orleans against the 4-10 Saints, and the 2-12 Giants are 3-point home underdogs against the 6-8 Vikings. And tomorrow, the college football playoff gets underway already. 12 p.m., noon kickoff for the 10-seed Miami and the 7-seed Texas A&M. A&M, they're 3.5-point home favorites. Ole Miss, the 6-seed, will welcome in the 11-seed Tulane as 17.5-point favorites at 3:30. And tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., is 12-seed James Madison against 5-seed Oregon in Oregon. Oregon there, 20.5-point favorites. That's your sports, Lizzie, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Times Square, the numerals are on display. Now, there are 500 bulbs. Times Square officials have now tested out that 2026 display.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Check it out! Look at that. The future is bright.
So the numerals will be on display until Monday, and the public can also write their wishes for the new year on confetti. Those numerals will then be displayed on top of one Times Square in front of more than 12,000-pound New Year's ball.
77 WABC News, reporting national news.
Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr says his agency is not independent, surprising senators who were grilling him on Capitol Hill this week. The statement followed questioning by New Mexico Democrat Ray Lujan.
The FCC is not an independent agency, formally speaking.
Appreciate you saying that and being honest with the American people.
During questioning, Lujan said the FCC's own website described it as an independent U.S. government agency overseen by Congress. The word independent has since been removed from the website. Carr was asked by Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar if it's appropriate for him to use his position to threaten companies that broadcast political satire.
I think any licensee that operates on the public airwaves has a responsibility to comply with the public interest standard, and that's been the case for decades.
Carr defends FCC probes into most major broadcast networks.
We have a number of investigations that are ongoing. I think if you step back over the years, I think the FCC has walked away from enforcing the public interest standard, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz called Jimmy Kimmel's comments about Kirk's death tasteless and that ABC would have been within its rights to fire him if they chose to do so.
But what government cannot do is force private entities to take actions that the government cannot take directly.
Cruz says the FCC cannot force private companies to take actions it cannot legally take itself.
Government officials threatening adverse consequences for disfavored content is an unconstitutional coercion that chills protected speech.
A group of House and Senate Democrats, including Senator Jackie Rosen, a Nevada Democrat who's on the Commerce panel, sent a letter to Carr this week urging the FCC to closely scrutinize the proposed Nexstar merger and warning it would create a media giant that would far outstrip its competitors. President Donald Trump is providing details on how the U.S. will celebrate its 250th birthday next year.
I pledge to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen for America's 250th anniversary on July 4th next year.
Trump detailing two major events.
As we ring in 2026, Americans across the nation will see the iconic Washington Monument illuminated with festive birthday lights to honor the start of this historic anniversary year. Then from June 25th to July 10th of next year, we will host the Great American State Fair on the National Mall.
Trump said two new landmarks will be built to honor the anniversary.
As I first announced in 2020, we will build the National Garden of American Heroes featuring statues of all-time greatest Americans, and we will build a triumphal arch as we celebrate 250 years of American freedom.
Trump said the celebrations will kick off with the Washington Monument being lit up in festive birthday lights. In the summer, the National Mall hosting the Great American State Fair featuring pavilions from all 50 states. Other events taking place include the first ever Patriot Games, a 4-day competition in the fall that will feature high school athletes from every state and territory as well. Trump announced he has launched the nonpartisan organization Freedom 250 to help organize these events. The Kennedy Center is getting a new name. The Kennedy Center Board of Trustees announced yesterday it voted unanimously to rename it to the Donald J. Trump and the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for Performing Arts. Trump was asked about this decision while speaking in the Oval Office.
Well, I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country. And I was surprised by it. I was honored by it.
Trump touting some changes he made to the center since returning to office.
We're saving the building. We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way, and now it's very solid, very strong.
Trump on this decision to rename the Trump Kennedy Center.
We saved the Kennedy Center, and I was really, this was brought up by one of the very distinguished board members, and they voted on it, and there's a lot of board members, and they voted unanimously, so I was very honored by it. Thank you.
The center said the unanimous vote recognizes that the current chairman saved the institution from financial ruin and physical destruction. Trump made sweeping changes to the Kennedy Center when he returned to office and was later elected as the board's new chairman. In some entertainment news,
I'm just a long-haired son of a sinner, searching for new ways I can get gone.
Jelly Roll is being granted a full pardon for his past crimes in Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee announced pardons to 33 people, including the country music star. Jelly Roll was convicted of robbery as a teenager and possession with intent to sell cocaine while on parole in 2005. Lee called Jelly Roll's turnaround story remarkable, redemptive, and powerful, and said it was evident that he should get a pardon. The Tennessee Board of Parole unanimously recommended him for the pardon earlier this year. There are new details about Nick Reiner's actions in the hours after he allegedly stabbed his parents to death. ABC News reports that Reiner checked into the Per City Hotel in Santa Monica either late on Saturday night or early Sunday morning. The report says law enforcement has already searched his hotel room for evidence. The bodies of Hollywood icon Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, they were found in their Brentwood home last Sunday afternoon. Nick Reiner, he was arrested that same night about 6 hours after the discovery, shortly after he was filmed buying a drink at a gas station near the USC campus. Reiner is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He could face life in prison without parole. The first trailer for a documentary on First Lady Melania Trump is out now. More from Mark Mayfield.
Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
The film follows Melania in the 20 days leading up to President Trump's second inauguration. Melania is directed by Brett Ratner, who has helmed movies like the Rush Hour series and X-Men 3. Amazon MGM Studios paid $40 million for the rights to the documentary. Melania will hit theaters on January the 30th. I'm Mark Mayfield.
In some more movie news, Tom Cruise's next new movie has a name and release date. Warner Brothers shared the first teaser for Digger yesterday. It briefly shows Cruise's character dancing in a building on a pier while wearing cowboy boots and holding a shovel. Story details have been pretty much kept under wraps, but the movie's tagline is a comedy of catastrophic proportions. Digger is directed by Oscar-winning Mexican filmmaker Alejandro González Iñárritu. It will be in theaters October 2nd of 2026.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.